There
It's
you
still
go.
COVID
Okay. Hi.
here.
As Debbie Gerbman is fixing her hair. So Debbie, welcome. It's great to have you on another episode of My Jewish Story. This is a program that we're doing in the midst of the pandemic, and it's a great opportunity for people to uh, meet other people and to see who they are and to put faces to the names and also to get an idea of how diverse our congregation is. So, welcome. It is great to have you. And I want to just begin the conversation with a very simple question.
Okay.
What's your Jewish story?
Wow, that's like really broad.
Right. I know. And it's supposed to be.
Okay. Oh, you're not going to give me any more direction than that. Okay.
No, no, no.
I was not raised Jewish. Um, my mother was Presbyterian. My father was Catholic, and they had both sort of fallen away from their churches for different reasons. So I wasn't really raised in. I didn't go to Sunday school or any of that unless I was staying with one grandmother or the other. We went to church or went to Sunday school with my cousins, and wasn't until that I met my now husband Scott in college that I really started learning about Jewish religion and traditions. Where I grew up in northern Jersey, there was one boy who was Jewish. I remember going to his bar mitzvah, which was a table set up in his living room with balloons, and it was pretty much just like any other party. But I do remember going to the temple, and we sat there and really had no clue what was going on. So when I started um, dating Scott, I thought I was very worldly and that I knew, I was very much taught, the golden rule, do unto others, and don't be racist, don't make assumptions, So I thought, oh, I know all about this, and then really learned that I knew nothing, as a lot of people, do. You make assumptions when you're not raised in a certain culture. You don't know what you don't know. So, but I fell head over heels for this boy, and I said, "I'll convert. Let's go." And he said, "No, no, no. You need to do that when you want to do it. It
Mm.
needs to be for you and not for me." So, um, we got married. We moved to Fairhaven, New Jersey. We had decided before we had ever gotten engaged that we were going to raise the children Jewish. It was very important to Scott. And as I said, I didn't have a very formal religious training. Um, so that was fine with me. So of course I delved in and I wanted to learn more and what, I was going to need to be teaching my kids. Um, and when we moved to Fairhaven, we were trying to find a Reformed temple. We had had a bad experience with my in-laws' temple, which was conservative, with a very um, not open-minded rabbi at a high holiday service who had a whole sermon about why you should not marry out of the faith. And it was not a good situation, and I was very upset. And um, so we decided we're not going to try conservative. We're just going to stick with reform for right now. And we went to there's a conservative temple right like walking distance from my house, but we didn't know whether it was reform or conservative. So we pull into the parking lot, and as we pull in, there's a woman walking out. So Scott gets out of the car to go talk to her. Turns out that it was Vera. Um, Vera from our temple. Oh my God, menopause brain. Um, um, Short dark hair. They were temple members for the longest time. They just recently moved south.
Vera?
Um, maybe I'm entirely remembering wrong. Oh my God, it'll come to me.
Okay.
Somebody from our temple who was coming out. She was at their gift shop and said, "Oh, no, this is a conservative temple, but we just got this brand new young rabbi, and he's very energetic, and it's a wonderful fit." And Vita Dworkin.
Oh, Vita.
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 Vita Dworkin.
Yeah, because I
Yes.
don't know any Veras.
Right. Then I was like, no, maybe that's not right.
The only Vera I know was in a Stephen King novel.
So we went to Beth Miriam and met their brand new rabbi who had only, I think you had started just shortly before we joined.
Okay.
What year did you start?
I started Beth Miriam at 1998.
Right. So yeah, it would have been just after, because we got married in 97, and it was probably within that year that we started looking. We wanted to join a temple before we had kids. We wanted to kind of get established in the temple community. And I know a lot of people, which, is fine for a lot of people, will join when their kids start Hebrew school, and then they will go away after their kids are done with Hebrew school. And if that's what you need from your religious community, then, that's fine. But for us, we really wanted to be involved. We wanted to know that we liked the community, that we were going to be happy there for long term before we had kids. So I think that was probably like within a year. Then we started thinking about having kids, and that's when we ran into Vita. And that was it. And then, I love my rabbi. He's the best. And I took a Hebrew class with you, and we talked about conversion. And then
Do you remember when where we talked about conversion?
we talked about conversion during class and all kinds of places, but
Do you remember where you made it official that you wanted to do this?
I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I do. I do. I remember. It was at Ursula Plaza at Amy's.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. If you really want to know, I could tell you what you ordered that day too. Don't ask me how I remember all of these things, but I do remember, and I remember I remember the enthusiasm that you had and that you exhibited.
Well, I remember, the thing was that I remember when we finished the class, and there was people that were actively converting, and for me it was kind of like, I just want to see where we're going. But then we decided we were going to be moving. Scott had gotten a new job, and we were going to be moving out of state to Pennsylvania, just over the border of Delaware. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I don't want to do it with another temple or another rabbi. I want to do it with size. So we were like, okay, this is it. We're going to do it. And yeah, and then I got, when we moved back, then I took another class with you. This was 3 years later, and I got bat mitzvah.
That's right. And there's that beautiful picture in the pre-function area of your B'nai Mitzvah class.
That's right. I think we were the last adult class, weren't we? Were we the last adult class?
I don't know. I mean, maybe the last adult formal bat mitzvah or B'nai Mitzvah class.
Right.
But yeah, that was several years ago. So tell us, where has your Jewish journey taken you?
It's been a wonderful thing for our family as a whole. My mother is involved in a lot of our stuff. She was even part of sisterhood for a while. It's made things wonderful between my in-laws and myself. Um, we we relate. Is things that I can learn from my mother-in-law over the years that made us closer. Whereas if we were doing things more separately, it might have been harder. We don't have a lot of the same hobbies, so it was a great way for us to grow together after Scott and I got married and with the kids. Um, and for my boys, Ryan and Jacob, it's just been phenomenal. Between the religious school at TBM and Camp Harlem, they've had such experiences, made such good friends, um, really feel a connection to the religion. And even, Ryan went off to school and he fell off a little bit. But his girlfriend, who also graduated from Temple Beth Mariam Religious School, um, she's very involved in her at her college. So he kind of he hasn't gotten involved at Drexel, but he's gotten involved through her school at University of Vermont. Jacob's just starting at school, but he hasn't. He's hoping after his play is over next weekend that he's going to get a little bit more involved. With COVID, it's been hard because a lot of the things are virtual and it's been tough, but he was so excited that you started the Yala class.
Is that, wow, that's our big success of the year.
Oh yeah, he was so excited about it. And the last time he was home, he's like, I need my cup and I need my candlesticks. And I was like, you can't bring your candlesticks.
Right.
You can't have an open flame. But I said, I'll get you some electric candlesticks. You take your kiddish cup. Ryan took his back to school with him, his candlesticks and his kiddish cup.
And
we're going to pour that.
Yeah. And it's so exciting. So, okay, that's no problem. That's no problem. That's what happens when we do interviews in the middle of COVID. The the interesting thing about the Yella program is that it's involving so many former students. These are all students who have finished Teen Academy.
Right.
And now they're in college and also they're working.
Right. Yeah.
And
I happened to be eavesdropping on your first class, not on purpose, but Jacob was just happened to be set up in the kitchen. And it was very interesting to see here kids that were much older. Like I remembered the names
right,
from
sure.
Temple, but like much older than my boys. And Jacob's probably the youngest.
Yeah. He's certainly among the youngest. But when I said to them, let's do a Shabbat experience just as as an experiment, just for half an hour, 45 minutes. And in fact, our first Yella Shabbat is this weekend. They absolutely lit up when I said, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go home and get your candlesticks. And of course, I forgot that you can't have open flames in some of these places. So I hope the moms and dads got electric candlesticks as well. And then I also said, get your kiddush cup and all of the things that you got for your bar or bat mitzvah. Get it and let's use it. And they all lit up. And they're all going to be there on Friday. I think actually Jacob said he's not sure he's going to be there because he has a play.
Yes,
that
his
he's
opening night for his show. So he's like, maybe I can get on and then just leave early. And
yeah,
so he's going to try.
But the reason I mentioned that, Debbie, is yes, it's certainly a credit to the kids that they have this enthusiasm. But I also ask the next question: where did they get their enthusiasm from? Okay, because when they get their enthusiasm, it doesn't come ex nihilo. It doesn't come from nothing. It comes from their own desire to be part of a Jewish community, but it also has a lot to do with the way their parents or parent influence them positively about the temple and about learning and Jewish education and all of that. So that's really a credit to you and Scott. There's especially since, I mean, you're two for two, right? You're two for two. That's 100%. And that is remarkable. You are also really involved in the sisterhood.
right?
And I know Scott was involved on the board, but
He's still on the religious school board.
exactly, took the words right out of my mouth. Everything about your Jewish experience is pivoted around the temple and around the Jewish community that you have embraced, and of course that has embraced you. And that's really remarkable. Um, Tell me about uh, um, your activities in sisterhood, because there's all sorts of sisterhood activities that you've done, and I mean,
Well, I mean,
before COVID, I mean, it was everything. I mean,
yeah, I mean, over the years, we've done tons of different things from, relaxation and social things like spa day and ladies' night and game night. And then we've had people come and do talks. We had the woman who wrote the um, chocolate. Oh God, now I can't remember the name of the book.
yeah,
Chocolate Road or something, where she talked about the Jewish religion and how it's entangled with chocolate, which of course, that was great because we got to eat chocolate. And we've had uh, what's the full moon?
Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah, Rosh Hashanah.
That's the new moon. That's the new
New
moon.
moon, new moon, right? And over the years, and it's changed. We've changed, and we've tried to change as the community changes. We've had a hard time in the last few years with people wanting to be involved on the planning end. Once you had a plan and you had said, okay, these are the jobs, then you could always get busy bee workers to come and show up and, like for instance, spaghetti in the sukkah, where it was like two of us planning the whole thing, but then we had like 9 ladies show up in the kitchen and descended and made pasta and heated up sauce. And, so we've tried to, bob and weave as it is to see what people are interested in. And now we kind of dropped off a little during COVID because we were having a hard time getting people to show up regularly,
Sure.
normally, without having to worry about their kids at home and doing schooling. And, it's been such a pressure for young moms and, so much going on.
Sure.
So, but Annie Rollerson is taking the ball and running with it. She's put a little fire under us, and she started with a few things. So we had a ladies' night at the beginning of this month, and then we're doing a trivia night at the beginning of March. I think the 3rd. So I think that's next Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that.
Okay, something like that.
I think Wednesday, the 3rd. So yeah, so it's it's exciting to get. I miss ladies so much. Over the summer, a few of us got together and had breakfast outside at a diner or something like that. But it's really hard. We have a lot of older members that are obviously and rightfully a little more nervous about being in proximity to people, and so we've tried to help out as best we could with the religious school and the students, and still
Sure.
Hanukkah gifts and such.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that really speaks to your connection to the community and maintaining the connection to the community. Um, here's another question for you. What direction do you want your Jewish life to take? What are your visions Jewishly that you'd like to see?
My visions. Uh, I I'm not exactly sure where to go with that.
I don't either.
Well, I mean, we'd like to stay involved with the temple. Obviously, the kids are up and gone, and they're doing their things, and we would, I mean, I would like to. We're thinking about taking a trip to Israel, which I would have loved to do with our temple, but the last couple of times we tried, we didn't get enough people. So
Well, we didn't get enough people because they raised the price. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but I
So
think I'm hoping to do it again, but we
yeah,
can't do anything until everybody gets vaccinated and we can
right,
leave the country.
right, yeah. So we were talking about maybe doing that with my in-laws next year, um, in 2022, but we'll see. I mean, I'd like to at some point maybe get involved on the board at the temple or get involved with some other stuff. I mean, as far as Jewishly, I'm not, like, you got a suggestion?
No, it was intentionally open ended, but the way that you answered it was that you want to get involved even more deeply at the synagogue because that's one of the places you find the Jewish community, which I'm hearing is very important to you. The Jewish community, whether it's a formal Jewish community like the temple or a relatively informal Jewish community like the sisterhood is very important to you.
Right.
And I mean that tells me a lot. It tells me a lot about you. Um, your your learning Jewishly has taken you into a lot of directions. You studied Hebrew with me. You did the conversion class twice. That's right. Which I don't feel so bad about because I was expelled from Hebrew school. So I was grade 5. I was expelled from Hebrew school. Um, I probably told you that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and also the conversion class, which was not just a conversion class, it was an introduction to Judaism class.
Right.
It was a little more in depth. Um, so Jewish learning has become a very important part of who you are. I liked what you said earlier, reflecting what Scott said, and he said, "Don't convert for me. I want you to do this for you." Um, and it sounds like you feel you made a really good choice.
Yes. I would definitely agree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, like I said, grandma's Catholic, the other grandma Presbyterian, go to church, but I can actually remember as a kid with my grandma there teaching me the prayer at night, go to sleep, our Father who art in heaven and that. And I remember you one time in class saying that is a perfectly good Jewish prayer
sure it
because
is.
it was a prayer by Jesus to God. So it was a perfectly. I remember my father-in-law being like, "What?" But even then, like as a kid, I kept thinking, "Why do I want to talk to the kid when I could just talk straight to the dad?" Like
Okay,
God seems like more important than the whole Jesus thing, and he gave himself up, and but still, it's for God. Like that's. So I don't know. I wasn't. I don't think I was ever really hooked into that uh, mindset. You
right,
know,
right.
so Judaism just seemed to make more sense, and I think you actually had a lot to do with it too because you teach the stories and the lessons, but yet you I think are a little even on the scientific side. Like I remember
A little.
I remember you saying, "Well, yeah, there's no way Moses parted the sea." but it was probably because they were in a different spot and the water was very low and the chariots got stuck in the mud, and that's why they couldn't follow the Hebrews across
Right.
the sea. And so the whole idea of being able to question,
You like that?
right, that you can discuss, and it's not like this is it.
It's really interesting. We just had, I teach a theology class on Wednesday mornings, and just this morning, an hour ago, we were we're in the middle of studying a book by Dan Bashevkin called what's it called? Sin and Failure in Jewish Thought, which is really interesting. So we're at a chapter now, and I'll share it with you, which is discussing apostasy, leaving Judaism, which of course revolves around the question of who is a Jew. And only Jews would ask who is a Jew and not come up with an answer. Because the halachic answer is not satisfactory, and the cultural answer is not satisfactory, and the linguistic answer is not satisfactory, and the cultural answer is not satisfactory, and there's a constant dialogue, and it arises from exactly what you're saying, is the need to challenge and the need to step back and look outside of one's own little box and to say, I have a question. And those are the four most important words in Judaism. I have a question. And in fact, one of the expressions in Yiddish, and I don't know it in Yiddish, so you're going to have to forgive me here, is that parents used to drop their kids off to school, in the old days. And what we say as Americans is, did you bring your lunch and did you bring your homework? You know, but what traditional Jewish parents do, and we should start doing it again, is to say to their kids before they leave the car, ask good questions.
That's
And
very
it,
cool.
yeah, and yeah, ask good questions, and it's all part of. Whoa, there's your dog is asking good questions. There you go.
Hold
Uh,
on,
okay.
mailman. She thinks the mailman's like the devil.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I like that you're recognizing the openness of asking questions, and the importance. What Because you were talking about your conversion, I just want to probe it just a little more. What's been your biggest challenge as a Jew by choice?
Um, hmm. Uh, uh, I don't know. I don't know that I really had any challenges.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, um, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know, Ellie. What do you think? I don't know. Yeah, I really don't think there's really been. I mean, most times when I felt odd or something, it's if we've gone to a very conservative temple for a bar bat mitzvah or something like that, and you feel a little odd because everybody's davening, or talking in Hebrew so fast you don't even know what the heck's going on, and but but that's not has nothing to do with being a Jew by choice. That's just different
Well, I
type
mean
of.
that's actually very heartwarming, because it says to me that everybody within your community has embraced you and it hasn't been an issue.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, even my grandmother, who is a diehard Roman Catholic, believes everything at face value that's in the Bible. Like there's no way that this is not you know, truth when I told her that I was going to convert. I went there and I talked to her because, it was a big thing for me, but I wasn't quite so sure how she was going to take it. And even she said, well, at least you're something now.
Mm.
Because I'd never really had any formal, religious upbringing. And, of course, she would obviously would have liked if I was Catholic, but, even my most Catholic relative was happy for me, so I really didn't have any, um, I think for a few Easters, I had my grandmother making stuffed cabbage without rice because my father-in-law said we the Ashkenazic Jews don't
Oh,
eat rice
because it's a Passover. I'm trying to figure out what
because
stuff
it's a Passover.
rice
Yeah,
has to do
right,
with
because
these.
it's a
Okay.
Passover. Because almost never it would when it doesn't coincide. It's the most amazing thing because you can eat the bread and you can eat all the stuff. But she would make it like for a few years, and then I found out that Sephardic Jews eat
Eat
rice
rice. Oh yeah.
during Passover, so I decided I converted Sephardic.
Yeah, me too.
And
I became a Sephardic Jew by choice through my stomach.
yeah, so I said, okay, I stopped making her do. She would make a whole little separate bowl for us, and I said,
But that's very sensitive. Yeah, I mean, I married a Turk, so I
right,
mean, yeah,
lots of rice in her.
rice. Not having rice at Pesach is almost as bad as not having matzah. Um, but yeah, so I became a Sephardic Jew by choice as well. But I converted not through my heart, but through my stomach. Uh, which is of course funny, but it's interesting because even though we're making jokes about it, culturally, Jewishly, um, that's a really big thing, um, because you're really quite changing cultures, aren't you? Um,
Well, yeah,
and
I mean, there's a
the
lot of
food is.
cultural differences, and yeah,
How do you handle those?
I mean, it's very interesting. I get a lot of questions. Like my family's always been very interested. It's not like a taboo thing with
Mm,
Jewish, like shit, my aunts or whatever, if it was Passover or Hanukkah, or, well, how do we do this? And like if we were having, say, we're getting together for Christmas, but it happens to coincide with Hanukkah, we would light candles. So we might all be together still at sundown. So we go, we're going to light the Hanukkah candles, and they would all stand there and they don't know the prayers, but they would do it. Over the years, my mother's learned all those prayers because she's always been with us at least
you, you,
sometime
your,
during
your
Hanukkah.
mother's a hoot.
She is the best. She's great, and she's she's always been right there. She's just loved the whole thing, and and even my father. I mean, he was only with us until Ryan was 16 months when he passed. So Ryan's 21 now, going on 21 and a half. So, so it's been a long time, but he wasn't with us so much. But when we were getting married, we wanted just a rabbi. We had a huppah, we did all these things, and they were very, he was always right there, really supportive, and,
that
so
that's really beautiful. I mean, the support that you got from your family, from your extended family, from your temple family. Um, it's no wonder that you're so comfortable where you are now. And I applaud your family. I really do. I have great respect for them. I didn't know that about part of that part of your backstory. I didn't know that. Thank them for me. Be- no, I'm
yeah, I mean,
serious.
it's always been really good, and even like towards the beginning when we first got married, um I tried to. This is kind of interesting. Okay, that I think we invited my father's side of the family. We invited them for Passover, we were when Scott and I first got married, we did a lot of our holidays together, not just my parents and his parents, but with extended family. Like Christmas Eve, they came with us, and and it got to be a bit much, so we kind of separated after a few years. But they came for Passover one year. I remember this, and the reading of the story, obviously we were reading it in English, and the Passover story, and it was interesting. We got a lot of questions, and they were, obviously they know the story. It's the same story of the Moses that they know from, of course they think of it as a Christian story, and we think of it as a Jewish story, um, but I remember them being like just a little on edge,
Really?
just because they didn't know what was happening.
Ah,
It's like if you go to, even if you go to a different temple and they're singing different songs or they're using different cadences or whatever, you feel a little off. Like they didn't. So I think we only did that once because I think it was just kind of overload. But
okay.
but other than that, they've always been really supportive and accommodating. They were like so involved with the boys' bar mitzvahs,
That I
and
remember. Yep.
when I had my bat mitzvah, which I have to say, other than my wedding, I did Dana Catewood. She threw me such a party. I think that service and that oneg and that whole thing was probably one of the best parties I've had for myself.
Well, it was a party, not for the sake of a party. It was a party with
Right,
meaning.
right, right. It
Right.
was just something for me, for something that I had done,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Yeah, I think that was even like graduations, and I mean, I think that was one of the best things. Like I just felt so
Yeah. Nice.
wrapped up. We did the mikvah at um
Phyllis's house.
at Phyllis's house in her hot tub because it was cool outside. And I had my group of ladies that stood around me with towels because she was having work done in her house.
Right.
She had worked with, she made them all go onto the front lawn because
I
she
don't
was like,
remember. I didn't remember that.
because I had, well, you weren't there because you were like, you told me what to say.
Oh, no, no, no. I wasn't. I mean, I was there, but my back was turned. I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
not there. Like
I
there
was
in the
not. No, 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 no. I didn't join the
you were like,
circle.
I don't need to do that. Yeah, but yeah, it was so funny, and everybody stood around me with those towels, and they, and because I wanted to do it in the ocean,
I'll never
and
look at a hot tub the same way.
I remember I wanted. It was in June, and you were like, it's so cold in the ocean, and I so wanted to do it in the ocean, but you're like, I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Not to mention that the beach is filled with people.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
we could have found someplace to again hide behind blankets or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, next time you want to go to a mikvah, you want to do a mikvah, go into the ocean. You should live and be well.
that's
Um,
right. Exactly.
Look at what this is a great story, and seeing the joy in your face and the enthusiasm in your body language, it's just so heartwarming to hear such a positive and loving Jewish story. And I just want to thank you for sharing it with us, because I think it gives everybody who's going to see this video an insight into somebody who is a truly happy Jewish person. And
And yeah,
and yeah, and I think it's just such a positive video, and all of the other videos that we've created are also really positive, happy Jewish people, and that's been the best part of doing these videos, that I get to learn more about my congregation, um, but just to have these kind of conversations that for no reason we've never really had these conversations, because we don't share with people this much at an oneg.
right.
Even within the sisterhood of the men's club, we don't share the story of our life. One of somebody had asked me. They said, "So, Cy, when are you going to be interviewed?" And I said, "Oh, okay.
Ah,
Well, I guess what's good for the goose is good for the gander, kind of thing." So I have to find somebody to interview me, and I'm not sure how we're going to do that. But it's fair because I've been the rabbi for 25 years at Beth Miriam, um, but how many people really know us? How many people really know somebody? And so for us to be able to open up like this is it's such a treat, and I want to thank you for it. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Any final thoughts?
um, I would, yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
say
Well, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop the recording here. So don't go anywhere.
thank you.
Bye.